What's up, everybody? Welcome to Too Generic. This is your host. I just realized the wall is a little off. This is your host, Cam,
Rich.
and we're back at it again this week. To start off, the wall's a little off because I had to get some help setting up the wall. I messed up my ankle in a teacher's for a student's game. So, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into these kids. I want you to know that. No matter what.
Took your own ankles.
I took my own Achilles.
Your own Achilles.
For their entertainment.
For the love of the game.
For the love of the game. It's what it is, you know?
Wasn't about.
Right. If this was a teachers versus students soccer game and this happened, I would have been like, what the fuck, man? I would have been so mad. But, I did it hooping. And I can't be mad at myself because, like you said, for the love of the game. Because there's going to – and you know what's funny is I've been telling myself a bunch of shit to kind of make myself feel better. But, I had a good time. And maybe when I'm 80 years old, I'll look back and be like, thank God I played that day because I wish I could play today. And that was a day I could have said, oh, let me not get hurt. And I did, but I had fun doing it. So I'll say I don't really regret it too much. But, shout out to Tatum. Where's my phone? Oh, yeah, look. I'm rehabbing with Tatum. I'm not doing this alone. I'm telling you, I'm creating a little idea of a support system in my head because it's tough. It's hard to go take a piss. It's hard to do anything. I was uncomfortable sleeping last night. I keep waking up. You got this boot on. It's massive and it's uncomfortable. And it puts your leg in certain angles and everything else. So yeah, it's been really tough. I feel bad for Tatum. He's really going through it too. I seen something he tweeted. Day 25. Today's finally getting easier.
Right.
And I feel it. I'm in day 2, and I'm struggling.
And he's a professional athlete.
He's a professional athlete and everything. He got his MRIs and everything and surgery right away. So at least that's good. I have to book my MRI, and right now they haven't even found a date yet that I could get it. So that's life, and that's public health. That's what you get working for the public school system of California. You got to wait.
Yeah.
So luckily, Tatum got in and out, got surgery, and same day they got to fix it. But me, I got to wait a little longer. So we'll see how that goes. But it's not a full tear. Still attached.
Right. If there's one positive you want to look at, that's certainly a positive.
Right, that's the positive, and that my ankle's still attached. So there's that. It's not like hanging, and it's not all nasty, but it's just very swollen and hurt and inflamed. But yeah, I mean, shit. Who else had this? Like I said, I did it in Kevin Durant shoes, KD 4s. Kevin Durant tore his Achilles. And I had my Cam Thomas jersey on. I was killing it. I was Cam Thomas.
They don't want to see you win.
But I hope that this is because he's a Kobe disciple, and all the Kobe disciples, you got to go through it. So hopefully, I did this for Cam Thomas. Hopefully, he never has to suffer Achilles tear because I did it in his jersey. So the basketball gods are like, it counts. So now they don't have to take his Achilles.
Like we got you, Cam.
So I got you, Cam. I got you. I took the fall for you. Now you got to go get buckets.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You got no excuses no more.
Got to go start hooping with Giannis.
You'd be on one leg if it wasn't for me.
Right. Should be grateful.
Right. So, yeah, you better start hooping with Giannis. Oh, something I picked up on. On my nose. So I don't have any tissues and I can't get up. The Warriors GM is Mike Dunleavy. We were talking about Giannis and the agents and everything last show. Mike Dunleavy and Giannis got in that fight.
Well, it wasn't really a fight. Giannis just bodied him, and that was it.
Dunleavy punched him in the throat the possession before. That's why Giannis hit him.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were also, what were they down by? They were down by like 30, 40
They were
points.
down by 25, and Dunleavy took a cheap shot.
Mm.
So you can't blame it on Giannis being down. He was down trying to come back, and they're throwing dirty shots at him. So he threw one back. Giannis believes in self-defense. And that's what that was more than anything.
Man.
Yeah, but man, let's talk about some UFC from last night.
That, I don't know how to say the guy's name. The
Where do
guy
you want to start?
Which one is this?
Talking about Keelan?
Early prelims, the Juice saying you guy.
Oh, you saying? Yeah.
You see his knockout?
No. Oh, yeah, I actually did. The dude went flat down.
Bro, with the left hand, and he was moving back in 28 seconds.
That was clean.
That was the most impressive finish out of anybody to me last night.
Right.
To be able to do that on your back foot, one punch, slept him like that.
That was like an Aldo McGregor punch, right?
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. Yeah, he really was backing up.
It was closer to the cage, but
yeah.
Either way, like stepping back, left, boom, right on the button.
Yeah, to me that was by far the most impressive finish. And there were some good finishes last night, but
I, honestly, until you mentioned it, I forgot all about it, and then I replayed the video in my head.
Yeah, that was something else.
You know who looked decent? Well, let me not jump to it so early. I didn't watch the Wang Kong fight. How was it?
I didn't see it either.
But Lipsy came in 7 pounds overweight, 132. Technically 6 pounds because you could be 126. But yeah, 7 pounds overweight is ridiculous. When you're over, I'll say you're 7 pounds overweight, and not 6, not including that 1 pound limit that they give everybody. 7 pounds over is egregious.
Yeah, it's not even close. It's like Hamzat.
Right. Didn't Hamzat do an 8 pounds or something like that?
Yeah, he was more than 7. I know that.
It was like fighting for 170, and he was like 180 damn near.
Yeah, so they had to switch that whole card.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't even close.
What up, Mr. C? We got some comments. Keyshawn missed by 4 pounds too. Who missed by 4 pounds? Who's Keyshawn?
No, everybody was on weight except Lipsky on this card.
Oh, he might have been talking about a past fight. Because I'm like, I don't. Keyshawn's not on this card.
Yeah, because everybody on this card made weight except her.
Oh, Keyshawn Davis, the boxer. Got you. My fault. I was like, dog, I don't see them on this card. I'm like, are you talking about Chaos Williams? Because his name is Kalen. Got you. Different sport. But yeah, the Wayne Kong coming in, like I said, 7 pounds is egregious, but I understand why she did it because it's Wayne Kong, right? Because Wayne Kong came in, obviously had this name, had the little Joker thing, came with a lot of character and a lot of talent. She lost her last fight, won the first one.
No, 2 fights ago she lost. She's won.
Two fights ago she lost, won the last one. She looked decent in the last one. Her last win was pretty solid. Yeah, but to come in at 7 pounds, are you that scared of Wayne Kong? Like, I thought Lipsy was decent.
But I think she had some medical thing they were saying.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I think
there's a medical thing, same with the Macy Barber.
Yeah, she had some kind of medical thing.
But I mean, at least she went out there and fought.
Right.
I respect that. Maybe, yeah, like she had an injury and she wasn't be able to cut weight the way she normally would. I get that. I do respect going out there if you have a bad cut.
And respect to Wayne Kong, too, for fighting her that overweight, too.
That, too.
She didn't
what was it? Wonder Boy Thompson wouldn't fight because somebody was overweight?
That was Michelle Pereira.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I wouldn't fight Pereira if he's over. Actually,
I don't
low-key, I'd fight Pereira if he was overweight because that motherfucker gets tired regardless.
Yeah, but he's gonna get me out. He's gonna get me out of there in the first round, though.
You think so? Yeah, maybe if he comes in overweight. But with Thompson, I mean, he's got amazing defense. So I
Right.
think he would have been fine, especially because Pieta doesn't like grapple, you know?
Mm.
He's gonna go crazy. He's gonna do a front flip that hopes he kicks you with the back of his heel. Like he's gonna do crazy shit, but none of it has to do with taking you down, dragging you against the cage, mauling you. That's what Stephen Thompson doesn't like.
Right.
But you know, it is what it is.
And now
I still think he should have took the fight.
I know. Yeah, Dana was not happy about that.
No, because that was a free win for Thompson to get him back on the right track. Because they kept putting him against wrestlers and kind of fucking him up. Then they just put you against kind of a brawler, wild boy, powerhouse, and Michel Pieta, where I mean, I think that's the guy. Like that's the guy you take out as Thompson. Somebody who's all muscle, all brute, a less technique than anything. That should be Thompson's like cue to just pick apart anybody they want. You know what I'm saying? Like that type of fighter is the exact guy that you put Thompson out there and he shows you. He just puts on a class, a legit clinic on how to fight against Michel Pieta. But it didn't happen because of the weight. And, you know, and like we said, sometimes people want that. Some people don't. I respect Wang Kong for fighting somebody that's 7 pounds over. No, Thompson didn't fight Pieta. They were lined up to fight. Pieta went over on weight, and Thompson said, no, he didn't honor our contract. I'm not fighting him because he didn't make weight. But in reality, like I said, Pieta's got terrible technique. I mean, he's a crazy athlete and has a bunch of talents, but his technique gets really sloppy. His punches turn loopy and like they like he has bad technique when he gets tired. Everything about him it is something that I think Thompson could stop. He's built for that. He's a counter fighter, and he's super quick. His stance, everything about it, the karate stance, it's fun, it's quick. And I think he could counter Pieta, but it didn't happen. Yeah, I know. It was quite the debacle. John Anik can pronounce every name correctly except Wang Kong. How do you say it again?
Who?
John Anik.
Oh, he pronounced her name wrong?
What do you call her? Wang Kong?
Might have. I didn't even.
I think that's what he said.
I didn't even have the sound on.
That's too funny. But all right, moving on. We're past the early prelims to the prelim card. Chaos Williams takes the L today. But mainly it was just the takedowns. You know, Andreas Gustafsson, I thought, was just in his grill and being a cardio king.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pronounced Song. Oh, so he called her Tong. Wang. Oh, Wang Song is how you actually pronounce it. Nah, it just sounds too close to like Kang Kong. You know, Wang Kong. That's why it's awesome. And she came with the Joker mask. You're like, who the fuck is it? It makes you tune in.
Yeah.
You know, it's like she's like a character, Wang Kong. But I get that. Yeah, Song, silent T, Song, but not like Song Yadong.
Bars.
Moving on. I actually really liked Waldo Cortez Acosta against Sergey Spivak. Spivak's a good gatekeeper for the heavyweight division, and I thought this guy looked pretty solid.
And Acosta's on a really good stretch right now, too.
Yeah, he is.
He's been on a really long winning streak. He's won 5 in a row in the UFC now. And he's 7-1 in the UFC.
I know. I wonder what kind of run he's going to go on, because after you rack up those type of wins, I think he should get a ranked opponent next.
Because he's beat Ryan Spann and Sergey Spivak. Is Spivak's not ranked anymore?
I'm not too sure if he's still
I thought he was ranked at one time. Yeah, he was
ranked
7th.
7th? Holy shit.
And Acosta was 11th, so he'll be well inside the top 10.
I didn't realize Spivak was in the top 10. I still thought he was like,
Yeah, so come Tuesday, he'll be well inside the top 10.
wow. Yeah, I thought he was outside. I thought he was like a 15 to 10 guy. Good for him, though.
Yeah.
The next fight, honestly, I missed this one.
I missed that one too.
I was like, let me turn on the WNBA. Let me flip around real quick.
A Joshua Van fight. I saw the Joshua Van fight.
Oh, you did? Yeah, that was solid.
Yeah, he's been going crazy lately too.
Yeah, he looked great.
He was beating.
Honestly. I like what Joshua Van's been doing.
He knocked him down 3 times.
I remember when Josh Van had the loss to whatchamacallit, Charles Johnson. I'm looking back at his Tapology right now. And that was like I was on the Joshua Van train. You know, I find the guys in the early prelim that I'm like, this guy's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, Josh Van gonna kill it this weekend.
Well, he was on a crazy winning
now
streak.
He's on a good win streak.
No, but he was before. He was on a good winning streak before that too.
I know he looked really good in the fights coming up to that, and then I remember that loss, and I'm like, dang. But no, he's looked good ever since. That's just funny. What was the one that was close? Was it the Cody Durden fight? I know that they've all been unanimous decisions, but I remember one was actually like a decent fight. I think it was the Cody Durden one.
Yeah, I think so. The Chiara.
What else happened? Oh shoot! Well, let me not get to that just yet. I'll get to the Kevin Holland in a minute. Actually, that's the next fight, right?
That's the first fight
That is the first fight. What do I say about single legs? Never two-hand a single leg. What the fuck? Luke to start the fight goes in on a single leg, doesn't get it fully, and instead tries to lift his leg but doesn't lift it fully and drive the leg up, just holds it. What does Holland do? Bang, bang, just hooks off on his head.
He was
every single time, bro. I say it. Who the fuck is teaching these single legs? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're gonna grab the single leg, you gotta do something after it. The problem is they're teaching how to grab a single leg, but they're not teaching you what to do after it. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it in so many fights. It's just like, what the fuck? How do you grab the leg and then don't have a plan after? And that's what happened with Luque. Like he was squaring up. He's like, okay, let me see if I could get a single leg or a high crotch. It was such a tweener, and like his I don't know, Holland's legs are long, but it looked like more of a single leg to me. I didn't think he had the high crotch for the lift. If he did, you got to make the move. And he just didn't make a move. He grabbed it and then held on for dear life. And the guys who do that typically get slept. So, I mean, I feel like Luque, there were moments where he should have got dropped there. He got hit hard a couple times where I think he realized, like, oh, fuck. Like, he was in a very tough position. You got to let go. But then that means, like, you admitted defeat. You lost the position. You couldn't hold it. And you just worked for that. So, like, that's the reason why these fighters don't want to let go of that single leg, because you worked hard for it. You had to break through the danger zone, and then you had to go in for the scoop. You had to, you know what I'm saying? You had to go through a lot of danger and make moves to get there. Single leg, head on the inside, high crotch, head on the outside. Oh. I mean, maybe I could find it.
But maybe he also didn't want to strike with Holland.
And I think that's maybe part of it too. Let's see if I could find a quick little clip. Oh, but the way he fell into that Darce choke, he gave it to him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it now. I'm just trying to type in like Luque, Holland. Maybe if there's somebody that has a quick little video.
It's time for him to put the gloves down now.
Maybe I'll just type in Luque single. I bet you somebody had to say something about it.
I just typed in Kevin Holland on Twitter and I found the video.
You found him the punches?
No, I found I found the finish.
Oh, yeah. I don't need the finish. I'm talking about the first round.
Oh, okay.
But it's all good.
I don't have that.
When Holland chooses not to lose, he wins. Dead ass.
It usually happens.
Yeah, it does. Next, Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix.
Man.
Oh, man. Patchy Mix.
He
went through a rough patch last night.
He did. He was looking.
Say that?
He was looking really patchy last night.
Yeah, he was. No head movement. I will say, he's built of steel. Because, like, he's getting punched hard. His feet don't move. He's like a statue.
Yeah, he was really stiff out there. He did not look comfortable against Bautista.
No. Batista
I don't know.
Smooth and loose. He was just fitting in little 1-2s all night and do whatever he wants.
Maybe he didn't really expect that fight either. Maybe he expected Bautista to shoot for a takedown, and Bautista never did. And he outstruck him.
Right.
So maybe kind of confused by his game plan.
I will say, the last minute of the third round kind of changed my mind on Patchy Mix a little bit. Because he seems like a 5-round guy. As ironic as that sounds, is he's losing his first UFC fight. I'm saying he's a championship round guy. Like I said, it sounds contradictory, but it looked like he turned him. He turned on in the last 2 minutes, and even the announcers were saying it. He was the champ of Bellator. He was fighting 5-round fights. Yeah. I don't think his pace. He was used to it. I think for the first 10 minutes of fights, he's down to just slug it out real quick, see what you're made of, and then from there the fight really starts for him. But yeah, you come in the 3-round fight in the UFC and in your debut, you got to make a statement. You got to finish it. You can't go out there and try to point a guy out or try to have a pissing contest either, because he lost in the 3-round pissing contest.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta figure that part of your game out. You got to get through 3 rounds to get to 5, and then you could show off your cardio and how you could still hold on to your power in the 5th round. If that's what he wants to do, then fine. But yeah, he looked so stiff the whole time. No head movement, but also even with his punches, like he keeps his arms like here, and then he like throws the punch. Like there was no, like hip movement and rotation. He didn't look like he was even generating enough power himself. And he looks like a strong dude. And I've seen previous fights. I don't know. He just, I think the nerves, he maybe had the yips.
Yeah. And maybe he was worried about the takedowns. That never happened.
Yeah. Let's see. When Patchy found his range, he looked okay for like 2 seconds. He could have kept him off with the jab, a slightly better footwork. Those UFC lights hit different. Yeah, that is true. He did have a long layoff from his last fight. And yeah, he definitely looked a little maybe slow or something.
And he still got off. I mean, he still had.
Because at times he looked fast. He looked a little strong. He had a couple of moves. But overall, the punches, like I said, he felt like he was keeping his arms in a weird position. And then when he throws his punches, his arms are only moving like this much because they're here. Like I don't know. It's just not this like fluid where you could kind of rotate your body and get your hips and your ass into your punches. Like I said, he was just like kind of out there weird. And then I thought he did get comfortable and start kind of throwing some better shots in that 3rd round. Maybe it was Mario's positioning. He kept switching his footwork, and I think that could have potentially messed up Patchy. There's plenty of things. Could have been a slightly bad weight cut for him, Maybe Bellator has a substance on the list that they don't, or maybe there's an IV that they could take in Bellator that's a little different than UFC. We don't know. There could be something different along the lines that made this happen, but ring rust and mainly – he's a better wrestler and grappler than a striker. And I think we learned that today.
Right.
Because Batista, He beat Aldo, and Aldo's no joke on the feet. So if he beat Aldo standing up, Patchy Mix, a wrestler, he's gonna beat him.
Well, he beat Aldo by holding him up against the fence the whole fight, but it worked.
It worked. I mean,
he didn't get one takedown.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It stayed up. It got ugly. It stayed up, but he didn't even want to make it ugly with Patchy because I think Patchy in the clinch could have did some work.
Right.
Because that's easier when you're nervous. It's hard to like even hit a shot, because it's out there, it's out in space. But when you're touching something, it's easier to not miss, if that makes sense.
Right.
Demetrius Johnson explained this. He was. Do you know who Death Sentence is?
No.
I think this guy has special needs. But there's these background street fights called Street Beef. It's on YouTube if you ever watch Street Beefs. So it's been a fight channel for like 20 plus years. They set up a little octagon like made of scrap wood, and they record the street fights.
Mm-hmm.
And so Death Sentence is this guy who loves Naruto and he wants to be like an anime superhero, but he fights in these street beefs. He wears a Naruto headband. He's a little off. But Demetrius Johnson took him to his gym because he kept losing. So he tried to teach Death Sentence how to get his first victory.
Mm-hmm.
And he did. Death Sentence got his first win this month. So good for Death Sentence. But anyway, basically, he was trying to teach him to punch, and Death Sentence like couldn't connect his hands to the feet and connect it to, punching the bag. Like, it wasn't making sense. But once he was grappling and stuff, he said he was a better grappler than a striker. And then he explained it on how, when you're grappling, you could actually feel him. And maybe for somebody with special needs, I'm not calling Patchy Mix that, but I'm saying the way he described it is like sometimes, when you're fighting and stuff, if you're making contact, you know what to do. Sometimes when you're just standing there and there's space, there's a million things you could do. And it gives you paralysis by analysis. There's so much things you could do. You don't know which one to do, so you don't do anything. And that kind of looked like a little bit of what Patchy was doing. And maybe if they actually got it to the clinch, he could have gotten rhythm a little earlier. Because, finally, eventually, Death Sentence is my third favorite autistic fighter, right after King Green and Tony Ferguson. No, Marvin Vittori is the number one.
Marvin Vittori.
Don't ever take that away from Angry Marvin. But for real, like, I think that could have helped, especially if you have the yips and the lights are a little too bright. I think a little grappling might have actually helped him catch up to speed a little bit and be like, okay, I'm here, my body's here, his body's here. I could feel him in the room,
Mm-hmm.
Other than you just reaching for air and hopefully eventually you find somebody.
Right.
But, all right, let's move on from Patchy Mix. Rough patch for him. Joe Pyfer had a bad cut, and also he had back surgery and a long layoff. The reason why I say he had a bad cut, no one talked about it, but he was the last person to weigh in.
Yeah.
And he just made weight. So, he made 185. It's not like he came over, but the last 20 minutes he weighed in. And there's a big window for people to weigh in. You could get it done quick. The faster you get weighed in, the faster you could go back to eating and getting your weight up.
And rehydrating.
And Pyfer, he kind of messed up. But at the same time, I understand it. He's coming off the layoff, the back surgery, the everything. It could be an extra hurdle for him. So he did it, and he said it. He said, I could have knocked him out. I respected his chin a little too much to not get too greedy and do something stupid. So let's see what Joe Pyfer does on the next fight. He is a monster at 185. And sometimes when you look at him, you go, this is who Bo Nickel thinks he is.
Yeah, he's definitely like...
He kind of looks like Bo Nickel a little bit. I want to see them fight.
If he was in shape.
Right. If Bo Nickel had muscle,
Yeah.
What the fuck was that last time? He came out there looking like me if I took my shirt off. It was ridiculous. I'm like, you are a UFC fighter. You're an Olympian. You're what else isn't he? An All-American?
Mm.
How many things? And then Joe Pyfer comes out there looking like a Greek god. And then what's his name? Comes out there, just rolls out of bed.
And Pfeiffer's got to be 205 the night of the fight. At least.
Easily 205.
Yeah. I mean, he's huge out there. It's crazy.
Pyfer cuts huge amounts and has crazy amounts of stress. Yeah, recipe for illness, right. Which is true. You know, so that's something you got to deal with. But, yeah, Pyfer is a weight bully, for sure. He could do 205. He just doesn't want to do 205.
But he looks normal at 185. He still looks...
I guess so. He doesn't look like too messed up, if that's what you mean. Like, yeah, like there's some people who cut and they look drained. He doesn't look drained. Right. He doesn't look gross. Do you remember Dan Hooker at 145 and like his ribs were like coming out of his body?
Or Kayla Harrison cutting the 135.
I mean, I think she's done it now. She lives at a lower weight because I seen her in the Nina Drama video. You watch Nina Drama's interviews?
I can't fucking stand her.
She's getting better, I feel like. At first, I feel like she was finding her timing. Now she's consistent. She's really good.
She's so annoying.
But the best part about it is you watch her get beat up by Kayla Harrison, and she really fucks her up.
Yeah.
You should have seen this leg sweep. She was like, yeah, Kayla Harrison's like the ultimate like bro too. She's really funny. I like Kayla Harrison a lot. She was like, oh yeah, Nina, do this little hop skip. This is how we warm up in judo. So she's making her do karaoke. And then as she's doing her karaoke runs across side by side, she just comes by and like sweeps her. She pushes her shoulder this way, but then her legs come the other way and just sweep, and her fucking whole body just comes and smacks down. She was fucking Nina Drama up. She scooped and slammed her, and Nina's head hit the back of the mat. It was a funny video. Marab has messed her up. Sean Strickland fighting Nina Drama is hilarious because he's just like slapping him. He's just doing these little slaps. He's like, you got to block it. Slap it. Slap it.
Pereira too.
Yeah, Pereira's was all right. But Pereira doesn't go half as hard as the rest of the people who I've been saying went. Like, you have to see the Kayla Harrison one. You laugh the entire time. Another funny one, low key, is when she did she interviewed a wrestler. I forget the girl's name, but she's like a goth wrestler.
Goth wrestler.
I don't think you'll be able to guess it. She's like a gothic kind of. What's her name? Rhea something. Rhea Ripley.
Oh, she's WWE. Yeah.
WWE, yeah, wrestler. That's what I meant. I'm not a fighter. But yeah, Rhea Ripley, she did a wrestling thing with her and a few other things. Like, her interviews are pretty good. And for the most part, the best ones are when her guest is beating her up because it's so funny. Mm-hmm. She's like, all right, teach me something. And they're like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. He's like, all right. And give her like two body shots and then a headshot. And she's like, and they go light, they're going easy. Right. And she's just not much of a fighter. And the one thing is she never takes it serious, but I think that's also part of the content.
Right.
Like if she actually like tried to take it serious, maybe it would be a force and kind of not be funny anymore.
Yeah.
If they were trying to train her to be a champ or something, but it's good. It's lighthearted and fun. Paul Craig said he weighed 224 on fight night when he cut down the middleweight. Damn.
Yeah, his cut to middleweight was tough.
I don't know if I would fight that if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't know why.
185 that's 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Right?
That's dangerous.
That's a true dangerous cut. But like I said, I think Kayla Harrison has been getting a lot better on her weight cuts.
But she doesn't look any better. I mean, she still looks awful on the scale.
I guess so. You know who looks terrible on the scale the majority of the time? Islam. Islam's looked like trash. Like 3 of the last 5 times, I look at the scale, him at the scale, and I'm like, I don't know about this one. This one looks rough for him. Like, I hope he can make it through. But, I mean, he keeps winning.
Volkanovski doesn't look great on the scale.
No.
He never looks good on the scale.
No.
McGregor would look really bad at featherweight.
I'd say his last featherweight cut he looked a little weird. But when he first came in, he looked fine.
He looked like a different person in one of those ones.
Yeah. What was it, the last Aldo fight?
Yeah, it might have been.
He did look funny at the weigh-in. Like, his cheeks were so, like, sunk in.
It looked like a different person. It really did.
When you see the temples sucked down, you know it's a tough cut. Another one. Oh, yeah, Mr. C. You'll appreciate this one. I don't know if you actually watched the Nina Drama ones, but if you watch Nina Drama interview Belal, listen to his voice. You can hear it, and that's another thing is I like to listen to these interviews, not necessarily because I don't even bet, but for some reason I like to guess who's going to win and be right. Like I'd rather be right than win the money. The intrinsic value of being right rather than extrinsic value of winning $20 on a parlay. But yeah, like you listen to it, you hear his voice. He's like so dry, and you can hear his nasally, and his mouth is dry. He sounds dry. And then you listen to Jack Della Maddalena, he didn't sound dry. He sounded hydrated. He sounded like good, even though his nose is messed up, and he might sound a little nasally in his own way. But Bilal sounded like he was suffering from side effects of dehydration and the weight cut to where Jack wasn't. So, yeah, there's a bunch of key indicators. And if they all line up, then you know for a fact. Yeah, no fluid in the vocal cords, exactly. And that's what happened to Bilal. And I called it on this episode or on this show. I said it. He sounded too dry, and we already know what's going to happen. He's going to lose. It might go to decision, but I don't even think he's going to finish. And that's what I said, especially coming off the staff and everything else he was dealing with. But tough son of a bitch. He still made it through in all 5 rounds, but he lost the decision.
Mm.
That was 2 cuts 2 weeks. Oh, yeah. Yep. Man, I liked Jack's come up. His come up was fun. Because he was just working dudes. The hands are just too much for most. So
clean.
Yeah, real clean striking. What else we got next? We got Kayla Harrison and Pena. I mean, I thought Harrison looked great from the jump. Pena looked tiny. You know what was funny? Is Pena looked like Nina Drama. That's what Kayla Harrison was doing to Nina, but worse.
Yeah.
And then she got to get in the ring with Pena, and I bet you it kind of felt similar. Once she started throwing her around and ragdolling her, she's like, oh, I could do this to any human being on earth. Like, it's 135. That's, obviously in the women's division. Like, she felt like anyone this size, like, I'm going to drag you everywhere. And I realized how strong Kayla Harrison really is.
Yeah, she made it look so easy from the jump against Pena. Whether they were on the feet or certainly.
It's the power she could generate, too, from her arms. Even if she doesn't have her legs with her with stuff, even just transitions, even when she's on the ground and she could just mush an arm. Like, she's been wrestling for so long. She has a different level of strength. She kind of is, like, built like a gorilla.
Mm.
Truly. Kayla Harrison is not built like – most men aren't built like her. She's built like Yoel Romero.
Yeah, her arms
Which is – Yoel Romero is like a marvel. Like, no one looks like that guy. And Kayla Harrison looks like that guy.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever seen a woman in MMA.
No, Cyborg didn't look like this.
No.
Cyborg looked roided out and like she just kind of power lifted a little bit, but like This one looks different.
It is.
What is the low quality shitty thing? It's too generic. That's the name of our show, Shadow Gaming. We're too generic. We're two generic white guys talking sports. That's what this show is. If you don't get it, you don't got to stick around. But that's the whole point. I'm glad I could just sum it up for you early. Just for the love of the game. This ain't for anything else. And then finally, Merab Delishvili. You know, Kayla Harrison said it out loud that they were going to win during the Nina Drama interview. She said it. She was like, "Oh, you interviewed Merab? You interviewed both the champ? Oh, well, that's cool. Good for you." Like she let it slip that she kind of felt, listen, Merab's going to get this, and I felt it too.
Yeah.
If you listen to Sugar Sean's interviews, he wasn't talking about, they were saying, "Oh, this is Sugar Sean 5.0." And he's like, "Hey, I still have room to get better." And the way he was talking, I'm like, this isn't a guy who's like, "I need to win this fight."
Well, he was trying to be like, he was trying to play the humble character this week. It felt like,
which is what happened to McGregor. Whenever you are a larger than life character and you try to humanize yourself, that's because you know a loss is coming.
I guess just like the second Poirier fight.
Just like the second Poirier fight. Whenever you sell your character and you sell it off, I lose you. Same thing. Like, I don't know. I will say Topuria changing his nickname is a bad sign.
I didn't even know he changed his nickname.
He changed it to Legend. He was like the Spaniard or the Matador, I think was his nickname or something like that, right? It came from Spain, but he's not Spanish, but he trains there. They call him the Matador. Whatever. He changed it to Legend. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of forcing it. You don't typically name yourself like Larry Legend. Like Larry Bird didn't go out naming himself Larry Legend. People called him that. And
it's kind of early to call yourself a legend.
Too early, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I think this guy's getting a little too big for his britches. So I don't know. Oliveira has a lot of tricks, a lot of traps he could set up, and I think Oliveira might actually rip this guy a new one, send him packing to 145.
So we're taking Olives.
I'm taking Charlie Olives next week or whenever they fight.
I think it's later this month.
Yeah, sometime soon.
UFC 317, June 28th.
June 28th.
But even Merab was outstriking O'Malley. I mean, he almost looked better on the feet than O'Malley did.
He did. That's what I'm saying. This guy, Sugar Sean, I don't know what happened to him, but he was talking about he stopped what? Smoking weed, he stopped jerking off, he stopped doing all these things, and he still lost.
Yeah, he was off social media.
He's off social media. He did all these cleanses and all these things. He stopped dyeing his hair. Listen, Sugar Sean.
He doesn't
tap back in the Sugar Sean. We want the Sugar Show. We don't want Sean O'Malley. We want Sugar Sean. And I hope this taught him a lesson that we want sugar.
Right.
So come back as Sugar. Come back with the cotton candy hair and start throwing, your punches. Stop being scared. Walk forward. You had great sprawling defense your entire career. You know what I'm saying? The only problems he really had was with Cheeto, was when he kind of got the leg kicks and got injured or whatever. Or Cheeto hurt his leg, compromised it so much he lost the fight fairly. So no matter which way you look at it, like, takedowns have not been his, like, kryptonite in a sense. It's been leg kicks. It's been other things. But I think it's like if Sean Strickland stopped being racist for 6 months. Nobody would enjoy it. Right.
Oh, my God. Jesus.
If Sean has to come out with the do-rag and Henny, it's a must. Deshaun Strickland.
Oh, my God. That's terrible.
But it's the character. Like, do you understand that the UFC, the WWE bought UFC or vice versa? Like, UFC bought WWE. You understand? Like, Vince is the first one to lay it out and say it. He didn't buy certain leagues in the beginning because of one reason. He said, if I can't control the outcome, I can't control my business. And that's WWE. That's why it's fake in professional wrestling, and you could build characters and you do all these things because you could sell it and control it. In a sense, you could do the same thing with matchups and different things in the UFC. You could build someone. You could give them cans. There's guys who actually aren't that good, who have been fighting other guys who aren't that good, but nobody knows it until it's too late.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And until you get enough MMA math and you see this guy fought this guy, and then he fought this guy, they both beat him, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to do MMA math, and it typically always works out. But anyway, we got what do we got next week, and then we'll move on. We got Buckley and Usman. All right, I'm taking Buckley.
Yeah, me too. It's a long layoff for Usman.
Yep.
Coming off 3 losses in a row.
I'm taking Rose here, though. Rose for sure.
Yeah, I'll take Rose. And she's a big...
I like Miranda Maverick. She's just not as good as she's supposed to be. She was like, they tried to build her. You remember when she first came out? They tried to build her quick. She actually just didn't have it. I don't know. Rose is one of the greatest ever. I just don't trust her losing to Miranda Maverick. I really don't. I just think Miranda Maverick's like I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be really wrong. But I'm taking Rose.
And you never know what you're going to get from Rose either. Because, she shows up in big fights and she doesn't show up in big fights. It's weird.
Oh, hold up. My boy's fighting next week. Cody Gumbridge.
And Cody Garbrandt.
And Garbrandt. But Gumbridge
plus 350.
Take it.
Man. Oh, this guy's crazy.
Yeah, some guy who's 8-0.
Yeah. His knockouts are nuts.
Really?
Yeah, he's knocked out the last... well, he's finished every one of his fights. He's on a 5-fight knockout streak.
Oh, and then you got the Paul Craig and Bellato fight happening next week too.
These are some decent. You got Ricky Simone and Charles Jourdain. That's a good fight. That's how they open up the card. This is a pretty good card next week, to be honest.
Yeah, that's decent. Even Chris Moutinho. We get a Chris Moutinho sighting next week.
Yeah.
Shout out to a can. But that's what I'm saying. Sugar Sean, bro. He was fighting cans until he fought Petr Yan.
He fought Munoz.
What?
Well, he fought Pedro Munoz.
Look who Pedro Munoz has been fighting it. Like, come on.
But he was ranked, I'm saying. That was his first ranked fight.
But I'm saying that's a guy who fell off who didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, I know, but he poked him in the eye, and that's it. And then the fight ended. And then they gave him, Petr Yan as like and O'Malley was, I don't even know if he was in the top 10, and they gave him Yan at like.
And I think he got lucky against Yan. I think it's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Yan is going to beat Merab or something. Yan's going to have a little comeback.
I hope so. I like Yan.
I have a weird feeling about it.
I think
but
next though for Merab.
But I think Sean was a matchup nightmare. I think Sean also had a lot of confidence. He was full of piss and vinegar. He just beat the shit out of Chris Moutinho. He pieced him up for 3 straight rounds with like 400 strikes. I think that dude was locked in. Like, I think he was like, oh, I could piece up anybody. I'm Muhammad Ali. Like, this is when Sugar Sean was so bought into himself that you couldn't tell him that he couldn't beat anybody because he wouldn't believe it.
Right.
You know, like he never got humbled or whatever else to the point where he thought that. And he had the utmost confidence, delusional confidence, and went in there and just did to Petr Yan what he shouldn't have. But also the body type. think about it. Piotr Jan is an undersized dude for his division, but he uses the speed and the power to make up for being undersized. Then you got Stretch Armstrong over here, Mr. Fantastic. He's 6 feet tall at 135, and he's got like a 6'2" or who knows what wingspan.
Yeah, and he's kind of
bad matchup.
All for the division.
Especially because Piotr Jan wants to get in tight, and then he wants to throw those little leg kicks and shit and do his Muay Thai. But you can't do that against Sugar Sean. He's fucking 5 feet back from you, and he's still hitting you damn near.
Right, it's hard to get close to him.
And yeah, Jan can't get the leg kicks mixed in. He can't get close enough for his distance compared to Sean's. So that's what I'm saying. Like Sean kind of got carried until he had the perfect matchup, and then we see what happens.
Right.
He did beat Cheeto. That's legit. But was Cheeto really a elite, top 1% type fighter? Was he really that, or was he also kind of just getting by?
No, I didn't really think he deserved that fight. I just think he was on a good win streak, and obviously you have the story, and that was O'Malley's only loss. So it made sense for the UFC to have him fight Cheeto. I didn't really think Cheeto really deserved that title shot, and it showed in that fight.
Yeah, I'm trying to look back right now. Find the Sugar Sean fight. All right, so yeah. So Cheeto lost to Song Yadong on Song's come up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Song beats him as this young up and comer. Song now is like a contender. He loses to Aldo, who Aldo was trying to make his comeback and obviously lost to Batista. Now he's done. But then he beats, look at who he beats. And this is what I'm saying. This is Cheeto's comeback tour. Davey Grant. Frankie Edgar.
That was brutal.
And Dominic Cruz.
That was sad too.
You know what I'm saying? And then fight Sanhagen, top of the top, a guy who's a contender, loses. Beats old Pedro Munoz. Then he fights Sugar Sean, loses. Davidson Figueiredo, elite 1% type athlete, loses. And Figgy's not even really in it anymore.
Yeah, they were just trying to push it for the story there.
Yeah, so it's and then he was supposed to fight Mario Batista twice, and they canceled it. So no matter what, that kind of also tells you that they were lining Batista up for some trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
So Cheeto's losing his next fight. They're going to set him the same, like I said, Vince McMahon had the business pitch. You don't run a business unless you can almost try to determine the outcomes. You can decide how your business goes. If things happen, things happen. You know what I'm saying? Then there's shock value, and you make the best of it. You devise a plan B. But Cheeto looks like he's being lined up to lose right now because they just sent Patchy Mix to the slaughter against Mario Batista.
And that was kind of a tough fight for Batista because he's coming in, a guy who was a champion in another organization, but he's unranked, and Batista is ranked. And I don't know how much that really helps him in the ranking. So Batista's kind of taking a chance with that.
Right.
But.
Well, yeah, so I don't know. I think, is Sugar Sean, was he carried? Was he built? Or is it just Marab is the best of the best and everybody would look like that no matter what?
I think Marab has made a lot of guys look bad. He made, Umar, everyone was so high on Umar and everything. He made Umar look horrible. He made Jan look horrible. I mean, he's made the best of the best. He's made champions look this bad. I just think Marab is that good. I really do.
Yeah. It might be that.
Yeah, I just think Marab is that good because he's fought the best of the best. Now he's defended the belt twice. He's looked great in all three of the title fights.
You think he fight Song?
Who's
he gonna fight next? Is Sanhagen?
I think Sanhagen's next. Yeah.
Sanhagen, okay.
And I don't see how that's a good matchup for Sanhagen either.
I think Sanhagen might.
I mean, maybe
be able to pull it off.
Or maybe better grappling and wrestling. I think he might.
Sandhagen's body type is kind of close to Sugar Sean's. You know, he's like, I mean, he's obviously shorter and everything, but he is gangly. He's a really long guy, but he's flexible and strong and more of a grappler and a kicker.
That's what I mean. I think he'll have more success against Merab. I don't know if he'll win, but
because if you think about it, Merab is close to like Volkanovski. You know, like their fight styles in their prime, somewhat similar. Some striking, some takedowns, ultimate cardio, iron chin, iron everything, leg kicks made of steel. Like they're pretty much very similar, comparable fighters. I'm not saying they're the same, but comparable fight styles and similar kind of physical characteristics.
Right.
And we see how against what's his name? Islam was a bad matchup for him. Who else was a bad matchup for Volk?
Topuria.
Oh yeah, Topuria. I'm trying to think. There was somebody who actually gave him a little bit of stress.
Well, I mean, Yair Rodriguez was much
Yair Rodriguez. That's what I'm thinking of.
But I don't know if he really gave him much of a problem.
He split him though, right?
Did he?
Or I'm thinking of a different fight.
Maybe he did. In what was the last fight he had? Who did Volkanovski just fight?
Remember, Alex got hurt in one fight that he shouldn't have. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to think, is it that one? Is it Brian Ortega? Like, what am I thinking of?
Let me see who Volkanovski just fought. Because he got cut open, I think, in his last fight.
And that was Topuria.
No.
Which one that he got cut?
No, Volkanovski's last fight.
He got cut in that fight? Maybe
so.
I'm cooked. Maybe I'm mixing up that fight with your ear fight.
Who we just fought? Lopez cut him. Lopez opened up his head.
You're right, he did. It was with the elbow, right?
It was what he knocked him down. I remember that. Lopez.
I remember the knockdown. It was the cut with the knockdown.
I don't know if it was the cut with the knockdown. I think he might have gotten cut first. I think he got cut pretty early.
Yeah, I thought it was elbow.
I can't remember what it was, but I know he got cut early.
But anyway, yeah, next week's pretty interesting. Got some OGs, got some vets on the card. You got Chiesa, Paul Craig. Like I said, we even get a Chris Moutinho sighting, the Ricky Simone, Charles Jourdain fight, Philip Rose, bum-ass fighting. Who knows? He might go on a little win streak. Good luck. Gumbridge and Mansour fighting. Alonzo Menfield versus Umar Sy. Menfield, you know, he has a way to get knocked out.
He'll find a way.
Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petrosky. Don't really have too many opinions on that, but
it's a pretty solid card, though. That's a really good card for a fight night.
Shabazian just feels like he's been around for 15 years and he's 27. I don't know how he does it.
He's been in the UFC since he was on the Dana White's Contender Series in 2018.
7 years, but I don't know why. But Shabazian just feels like he's been around longer. Anyway, that's it for the fight cards. What do you want to jump to?
The finals?
We go to the finals. Let's talk about it because that first half, it felt like the Thunder were everywhere, but then they were only up 12.
Yeah, to me, like that was for as bad as it went for Indiana. I wouldn't be feeling that bad going into the locker room having turned the ball over 19 times.
Yeah,
and the Thunder didn't take full advantage at all of the turnovers.
They couldn't score. The shots weren't hitting, and we seen the result. It was kind of sad, honestly. I'm like, how do you have this much effort, this much energy to steal the rock? They would get it, and then they would start running in transition, and then just slow it back up, and then they'd swing it, get a bad shot.
The Pacers turned the ball over 25 times. The Thunder only scored 11 points off of those 25 turnovers.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
11 points. Like, that's 25 possessions. And when you think points per possession, typically it's at least like around league average is like 0.8 to 0.1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So they were at like 0.4 points per possession created off turnovers. That's like almost unheard of, honestly, because off a transition, the defense isn't set in transition. You know what I'm saying? So like, how are you shooting this poorly at the rim? Even if you're fouled, the field goals don't count as field goal attempts unless you make it. So it's not even like you're missing, but you're getting fouled or something like. Yeah, so I don't think there's any excuse for 11 points on 25 turnovers.
And
they might not all be live ball turnovers. And I think that also needs to get looked into, how many were live ball turnovers. But a lot of them were. I was watching, like, a lot of them were live ball turnovers. Rips, legit rips, back taps, everything possible in transition to steal the rock. And they would take it the other way. It's not like Tyrese Halliburton is just throwing the ball to the fifth row, and now they get it, and that's a turnover. These were steals.
And I remember Toppin had 2 turnovers where he tossed him in the backcourt. I think one went out of bounds, and then the other one was a backcourt violation.
But that's only 2 out of the 19 in the first half.
Yeah.
Oh, Toppin looked rough early, but then he got better.
And it was kind of, I was kind of worried about the Thunder going into the playoffs because I know Shea's going to get his buckets kind of, like he did last year. I was worried about who else was going to step up. And Jalen Williams has played really well since Game 7 of the Western Conference semis. And now, he was struggling. I thought Chet looked great last series, and then everybody was chipping in. And Dort's been horrible all postseason, and he shot great. He knocked down 5 out of his 9 threes. That's what I was kind of worried about for the Thunder. Who else was gonna step up aside from
Chet?
Chet?
6 boards early or something too.
Who?
Dort.
It
was like 6 boards in the first half. He was just rebounding. He was doing everywhere. He was doing everything, like you said. He stepped up because Cheddar wasn't.
Yeah, and we've seen it all really the last 2 seasons with the Pacers in the regular season and postseason. It's just so balanced. No one's really going crazy. That they'll have their and really the bench kind of kept them halfway in it in the first half. I mean, even though no one went crazy. Toppin played okay, McConnell played okay, but the bench kind of kept them in it somewhat in the first half because none of the starters were really doing much of anything in the first half for the Pacers.
It's sad. Like,
yeah,
I'm looking around the Pacers. I'm like, do you have a guy who could get it past half court?
Yeah, it was ugly in that first half, and they were only down by 12.
It looked like a teachers versus students game.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, it wasn't, but I mean, the Pacers figure it out. Like the yes sir Pacers. They got a nickname, and I think that's what we should have knew from the beginning.
That nickname sucks, though.
I know.
I hate the name.
But I'm telling you, the future reference, 8 years from now, people are going to be like, you remember the yes sir Pacers? Oh, remember that run?
Man.
That's what it's going to be. They're going to lose to the Thunder. I think overall, I think they should lose in 5. They're outmatched. They're outgunned everywhere. They should have never won that game.
I'm still sticking with the Thunder, and the Thunder are going to come out. I mean, in that first quarter, those first 6 minutes, on both sides of the ball, they're going to be going nuts.
Yeah. So that's what I think. I think it's going to probably still be 5. I predicted a 5-game series. I think it's going to be 5.
I think I had the Thunder in 6. I'll stick with that. But
I almost wanted to say sweep and shit. If Tyrese Halliburton doesn't hit a 22-foot midi, then.
And that's another thing. Halliburton hit 2 mid-ranges. He very rarely takes any mid-ranges.
And the form, his jumper even is a little different because the mid-range, he had to pull up. He had to put it a little higher than he normally does.
Yeah.
His form looked a little cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I like his form when he's shooting that jumper rather than more of the push. Yeah. I like when it's here. That's just me. It's just, I guess, the the aesthetics of his shot. It looks like a better shot, but I guess whatever muscle memory he has with the push, it works for him.
But the possession I loved was the inside 2 minutes, and they got the lead down to 3 with that 3-pointer from Andrew Nembhard. He was just going 1-on-1 with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you knew he was taking the shot. Like, he was not going to pass the ball up. He might have put up some bullshit. He didn't. It was a great step back shot. But it was just like, it's something about this team. They have some kind of confidence in the fourth quarter or in these close games. They just know they're going to hit these shots and know they're going to win. I mean, Nembhard, a role player like that. He said, I'm going to go up against the Western Conference Finals MVP, the league MVP, the best scorer in the league. And I'm gonna go up against your star and get a bucket on him. And
SGA, a little crazy.
And SGA's no slouch defensively either. And he just took that step back shot. It's just crazy to have that kind of confidence in a finals game as a role player like that, in that close of a game, in a clutch moment.
Right.
It was.
He does it. I think Andrew Nembhard. I don't know what his contract situation is, but he's probably going to get paid soon.
And he was great. He was great in the playoffs last year. I mean, I think, in the Celtics series, obviously they got swept, but he was great that whole series, especially those last 2 games when Halliburton was out. There's something about Nembhard to come playoff time. He turns into a different player.
Yeah, he's a baller. I mean, he was a baller at Gonzaga.
And he did a great job. He did a great job defending SGA in game 1 too. Everybody else struggled, but he did a pretty good job.
He knows SGA. They play together in Canada. On the Olympic team. And SGA commented on Nembhard's photo like 3 months ago or something and said, "My favorite point guard."
And I think he was only 3 of 9 from the field when Nembhard was defending him.
Yeah.
So maybe look that matchup a little bit more in game 2 later tonight.
Right. Yeah, so we'll see. Shit. I'm excited for it. I think Hartenstein has to do something.
And they kind of went small because, Hartenstein, they had –
Hartenstein, I mean, why did I say Hartenstein?
They had
sound like Stephen A. right now.
Well, it looks like Hartenstein when you read it. But they started Cason Wallace. They didn't play Chet a lot, so they tried to play, more small ball with Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't work out well for them in the second half.
No, and I heard – well, not I heard. I did hear it. I watched games in the regular season. I heard someone talking about how they used Kenrich Williams a lot in the regular season against the Pacers. He had a crazy plus and minus and played very well against the Pacers. But they didn't play him at all in game 1.
Oh.
So that's the problem. They have certain matchups that they're not utilizing right now. I think they're kind of holding back, and they'll be able to do more things. They actually didn't have Chet in the first 2 games against the Pacers. And that's also probably why they tried to win without Chet, because they said, hey, in the regular season, we beat the Pacers without Chet.
All right.
So they maybe tried the same formula, but the problem is they didn't use Kenrich Williams. I think he's just such a flexible piece.
I mean, they played Aaron Wiggins and AJ Mitchell more.
Right, and I like Aaron Wiggins. The AJ Mitchell thing, I don't think you need AJ Mitchell in there. I like AJ Mitchell. I like him through the draft process and everything, and I think he's going to be a decent player overall. But somebody like Kenrich Williams, who you gave a big contract to, a long contract to, not a big contract, a long contract to, years back, like, you believe in this guy as a solid player, and I like the dude. I think he's a decent player, and he can provide a lot to that team. So they need to lean more on Kenrich, lean more on Chet. I understand the idea of going small, but all of their guys can run no matter what. Chet can move. He might be big, but he's not slow.
Right.
And then same thing with Kenrich Williams. I mean, he's not Speedy Gonzalez over here, but he's decent. He can move. You know what I'm saying? I think he gets some good drag force in the back right there with his mullet and his little rat tail thing. Aerodynamics.
I don't understand that at all.
Me neither, but I still think he can hoop and he's a smart player. And like I said, I think they need to go a little bigger instead of going a little smaller with AJ Mitchell. That I don't agree with, and I think that's something we'll see change in the games coming up.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking OKC tonight.
Yeah, they're not losing two. They weren't even supposed to lose this one. This was supposed to be a nail biter. Halliburton, he was not.
Does it change the series like it changed the Knicks series? Because that kind of felt like with that game 1 win in the Eastern Conference Finals, the series was over there.
Mm-hmm.
After blowing a lead like that, it's kind of different though. I mean, the Knicks had a bigger lead. They had a bigger lead late. The game went into overtime. So I think it's a little different there, but it's also, I mean, that's tough. You lead for the majority of the game. You're up by 15. You're up by 9 minutes inside. No, you're up by 9 points inside 3 minutes. And there was some record since 1971 in the NBA Finals. Teams that were up by 9 or more inside 3 minutes were 181-0.
So the Thunder blew it.
The Pacers breaking more records now. I don't know. They're pulling off some devil magic.
So is this just like I don't know, some historic Cinderella story type season?
I don't know, because I've been doubting the Pacers the entire postseason.
Right.
And they just continue to win in the most absurd ways possible.
So I'm still taking the Thunder.
I'm not going to change my pick now. I'm still taking the Thunder in 6 games, but
I just like the Thunder. They're too good.
It's really interesting now.
I think the depth is insane. I really think they could abuse the Miles Turner matchup too, because I mean he's been great in certain ways. He hasn't been shooting well, and that's something that you could take advantage of. He's been blocking a lot of shots. I think positionally on defense he's been decent, but Chet and Hartenstein, like these are smart bigs, and they can play around him.
They did a great job defending.
I think they're faster than him. I think they're stronger than him. And I think pass around him and figure it out. There's ways to get by and manipulate defense. So they need to do something about pulling Miles Turner a little bit away from the rim and finding easier shots for their guards who are just slashing and maybe looking for that kick out 3. But hopefully when they're slashing, maybe if they do their job, get in there a little bit earlier, seal the center a little bit, bump him. So when he tries to go and help and be that help side defender, he's a second late. And that's an easy layup for Dort. Instead of him having to do some, Euro step, and he's got to sling it over this way, and Caruso's got to jump and catch it and then put it up because there's 5 seconds left on the clock and he's in the corner, and what else are you going to do? So I think that's something they need to figure out, is how to get easier looks at the rim, because they're stealing the ball, they're running in transition, and if they're stealing the ball and running in transition, then you should be finishing at the rim. It just all makes sense. And at game 1, they weren't necessarily doing that. Rich, are you back? Can you hear me? Oh, my Lord. Sorry, guys. 1 second. You know what? I actually have something for this. I got y'all.
This is your captain speaking. We'll be experiencing some turbulence. Should last more than 10-15 minutes. Flight crew, please prepare for takeoff.
Our technical difficulties video. So, Ritchie is clearly having some technical difficulties. But it's all good. I'll probably just end it here. I think we had a solid show. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry about the technical difficulties at the end. We lost Rich. Most likely his phone died, or our mom called him or something. And now he's talking like, hey, I gotta go on the pod. Who knows? But thank you for tuning in. Much love. Peace, y'all. Until next time.